Okay, so your first thought was to find the derivative of x of t. Stay with me, Christine. That is a good thought. As always, best if you know why you're doing that.
Okay, I was doing it because that's how we
Pause right there. Anybody else have a better answer for why it is the right step to find the derivative of x of t? You really do have to understand why it's going to cause you trouble in the future.
Yeah, because you're supposed to find where it's at rest, and so to find the points where it's at zero, you have to do the derivative because that's what you can see when it goes to
It's how do I say this? It's kind of a dangerous thought which you both have, which is like, I know I'm supposed to. It's kind of dangerous because you don't have enough detail, and in the future you're going to run into problems where you'll say, we didn't learn it because it's just too much different. So it's not wrong necessarily, but it's just not enough to make sure you're successful in the future. So somebody answered this question: what does it mean for a particle to be at rest? That's where you should begin this problem. You're looking to find out what values of t will cause the velocity to be zero. Now, I was helping Reagan a minute ago with an idea that will really help here. So that's the English way to say what we're trying to do. We're trying to find the values of t which make v zero. Somebody, how do I write that mathematically? Like I was showing Reagan a way to write that mathematically with a table. I was also showing Reagan a way to write it mathematically with function notation. Somebody raise your hand and tell me, how do I write? I'm trying to find when v equals, trying to find the time when v equals 0. I want to write that as a table and as an equation.
The equation would you just do x prime of t equals 0?
That's very good. And x prime means exactly the same thing as v. That's where you should be starting this problem, is with that thought, not the other ones you were kind of expressing. Like this is the place you want to start. Keep in mind that I'm trying to show you, again, methods that are going to work for hundreds of different problems. This is where you start. Somebody tell me, how do you write this as a table? Oh, please, question. Oh, no, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Never mind.
No worries. How do I write that as a table?
Sorry, what?
Would it be x prime v on one, right? And then the other value.
So I'm going to use velocity, but x prime is the same thing. So there's my table. What number should I put in the table? Christine?
So you would put 0, 50, and then
Like this?
yeah.
Common mistake. So this is wrong. Don't do this. This actually doesn't really convey any kind of meaning. No worries. That's why you got to keep talking about it until you get it right.
Would you put in as the velocity is 0, then that means
So you want to put what where?
0 on the velocity side, and then
That's very good. That's perfect. That's exactly the right idea. Like in a table, I want to express the fact that I'm seeking to determine what is the t value, what is the time when the velocity is 0. That's what we're looking for. Are we okay? Cool. Got to keep track here of who's helping. So we've got Christine, Lana, Cameron, Jonah, Reagan, and Ella. Nice. No duplicate initials. So far, Ella has helped. Reagan has helped. John is listening so far. Christine has helped. Shoot. There is duplicate initials. What am I talking about? So we're right here. Cool. So everybody okay there? So now what? Hand please. Christine's done a bunch, so I give somebody else a chance. Lana's very good at listening. She doesn't like the comments, that's okay. Is that fair?
Yep.
Yeah. It's not a problem. It's just, you just have to find your learning style. And if your learning style is like, hey, I'm a really good listener, you just keep listening. So don't worry. Cameron.
Would you solve, or just try to find x prime of t? Because like we got that equation of x of t.
Yeah, we want to get to here. We've got to get to this. So we've got to go find x prime. That's perfect. So tell me how to find x prime.
So does t represent just a number or a constant?
Oh, outstanding question. Can somebody tell me how you know whether t is a variable or a constant? Oh.
It'll tell you, most likely in the problem right here, it says along the x-axis with this position of time t. So it gives you that t is time, which is not a constant.
Well said. Yeah, t is playing out. T is a variable. A and b are constants. They're just some numbers we don't happen to know the value of. But time is a variable for sure. Good question. No.
So would you do the product rule?
Yep. Somebody else take over now. Jonah.
So you find the derivative of the t minus a times t minus b, right? Okay, so then you do the product rule, which would be t minus b times the derivative of t minus a.
And just make sure you put all the parentheses, all the places they are required.
Okay, so parentheses t minus b, parentheses d t minus a over dx.
Okay, this has to be dt,
Okay,
because in the problem we're working on, t is the input variable.
okay.
And this is always d of the input variable. So keep
And
going.
then plus parentheses t minus a times d parentheses t minus b over dt.
Perfect. Next.
So the derivative of, like you would just put in that like f minus b again, and then it would be like the derivative of t minus a, wouldn't that just be just 1?
Uh-huh. I have a question about that. Don't let anything go by it. It doesn't make sense. The derivative of t minus a is definitely 1. In a normal year, I can see more of your facial expression to kind of get an idea whether you understood or not. This year, you all can play like poker players. I can't tell.
You just explain.
Yeah, no worries. So what rule would you use here, Jonah, to find this derivative?
Adding.
Yep. So do them separately. So what's the first term going to be?
dt over dt.
Which is?
1.
Good. What's the second term going to be?
d negative a over dt.
Oh, I can put a minus in front either way. And what's dA over dt equal to?
0.
Yes, because a is a constant.
Okay.
You with me?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good work. So then 1 minus 0 is just 1. Very good. Okay. So somebody else, keep going. Go ahead. Let's go Ella.
So then you do the same thing. You just do plus t subtract a, and then the other stuff will all just end up being 1.
Good. And these two are multiplying, so that's important to remember. So now we have this. Somebody explain, why is it legal for me to drop parentheses?
It's legal because they're not like multiplying, like we're all using either, because like if there's multiplication or division you can, but like since they're all adding or subtracting, you can drop it.
Oh, that's pretty well said. Yeah, I was thinking that we do have to take care of this 1, because if this had been a 2, we'd have to go, 2 times t and 2 times b, something like that. But 1 times whatever is just whatever. So that that works pretty quick. and then there's nothing else operating on the t minus b, so you don't need the parentheses. Like, try to switch your brain from parentheses mean do this first to parentheses indicate that something is operating on what's inside. So here I've got to have the parentheses because this is multiplied by all of that. So the parentheses are required. When I get to this line, I still need parentheses. So 1 is multiplied by all of this. But once I multiply the 1, there's nothing left to do on what's inside. So now what? Cameron's in, helps now. Let's go rigging this time.
It would just be negative b minus a. I mean, wait, sorry, hold on. 2t.
Just tell me exactly what you write.
Okay, wait, hold on. b of t equals, sorry, I wrote it down.
You're okay.
2t minus b minus a.
Oh, that's perfect. So now what?
I'm just wondering, would it be illegal to do like t parentheses minus b minus a, or yeah, that probably would be legal because they're all whatever they're called terms.
Yeah, you can. What you're thinking is wrong. Like, what did you want me to write?
T parentheses minus b minus a.
Yeah, if you distributed that t, you'd get this. Tuberculosis and whatever TA means. That joke. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not the same. Okay. Yep. I've been trying something new this year that seems to be helping some people. I keep saying that the equations all have slogans. You even know what the slogan would be for that equation? Please.
I just learned this.
Yes.
Plug in a t and get a t. Wait, sorry.
You're okay.
To find a t prime, wait, no, dang it.
Just
It
look at
feels
the
like
just
it.
look at the symbols. What does this symbol represent right here? Ah.
That represents t prime.
Doesn't represent t prime, it represents x prime.
X prime, yeah, sorry.
But it also represents velocity. So, somebody else, like Ella's got to go on somebody else to speak up. Why is it v of t? Like, what does the symbol v of t mean?
Oh, you don't want to plug in or?
Oh, just what does v of t mean?
Oh, it means the velocity at the given point.
Perfect, at a given time. That's why there's a t in the equation, because v means the velocity at a given time. It's like, I can't put this alone really, because that kind of implies that there's only one velocity. But velocity is changing as time goes on. So we've got to have v of t. So say the slogan again, Ella, you got it.
Okay, sorry. Plug in a v, get a t. Plug in a t, get a v.
Perfect. Plug in a time, get a velocity. Plug in a velocity, get a time. So what do I want to do now? Please.
Plug in 0.
Where?
Where it'll be 0, like for the t.
Okay, so what you're saying is incorrect, but I want you to see why it's incorrect. That's okay. So I'm going to do it. So I'm replacing all t's with a time of 0. With me? I'm going to get this equation. Reagan, what does that mean? Do you know? Say again.
It's just constant.
What I'm looking for is the more basic, like hands down for a second, like all 6 of you. As we're solving this problem, I'm learning that honestly for all 6 of you, there's key things that you don't understand, you didn't even know you didn't understand, and they're getting in your way of solving a lot of different problems, and that's partly why you're getting a score that you're disappointed with. So we just have to keep talking here until you're, like, I don't care about this problem, I care about the ideas that we've got to get them straightened out. So,
Thank you.
yeah, B and A are constants, I get that, but this has a meaning that's more important than that meaning. Go ahead.
At time 0, the velocity is. Wait, sorry.
Say
Is that what you were
it.
asking?
Say it. You're doing great.
At time 0, the velocity would be negative t minus a.
Nice. Put that in. This is very related to what you and I were doing, Reagan, with the notation. Jonah, put what you just said into this table.
Okay, so is that time would be 0 and velocity time would be negative v minus a?
Perfect. Is that what we're trying to, is that the outcome we're looking for this problem, Jonah? Well said. Not said, but expressed. Is that what we're trying to figure out? Like, go back to the beginning.
Yes, it is.
Go back to the beginning. What was the goal? Keep talking.
It's to find at what time is the particle at rest.
Yes, there we go. So now your turn. So, did we accomplish what we're looking for, Reagan?
No.
What did we accomplish?
Well, because that says at time 0, but you're trying to find when the velocity is at 0.
Yes. You see the difference?
Yes.
See, we talked about in the beginning, I said, how do you write? I don't know, so does it help me to show you the table and everything? Like, I'm hoping you can, because the key here is connection. Because the AP test writers, their secret skill, their superpower, is they know that students get very accustomed to just using one kind of like notation. And so all they have to do is throw in something different. And everyone goes, I don't even know what they're talking about. When you really do. We said this was the goal. Here, yes? Find the time when v is 0. We did the opposite. We said time is 0, what's v? Make sense? So what do we do instead? See?
You want to isolate v, right?
So tell me exactly what to write.
So-
Success on the AP test is all about writing down the right things. If you do your work in your head, you're going to mess it up. Got to get it written down. Don't drop the pen.
So you want to subtract.
Tell me exactly what to write first.
Okay, so it'd be negative 2t
I got to have an equation.
equals negative v minus
Oh, true. But what was the equation before that?
Oh, v of t equals,
Well, that's here.
yeah.
And then you did something in your head that you didn't tell me to write. I want you to tell me what to write down, what you just did in your head.
Oh. I don't know what I did. in
That's
my
okay.
head.
Jonah.
Would be 0 times t equals 2t minus v minus a.
Okay, so you're misinterpreting the meaning of this symbol. It looks like multiplication, it isn't.
Okay.
You have to keep remembering what I just boxed is one thing. That's the velocity at some time. So Christine's got it right in her head. We got to get it right on paper, please.
I put it equal to 0.
Tell me exactly what to write.
So 0 equals 2t minus v minus
That's what you have to be thinking. And it's got to make sense to you. You cannot just memorize a step. It's got to be like, oh, I can see it, I can feel it, I know it, I can talk about it. They want to talk more about that. I've joked in past years that I'm not a math teacher, I'm more like a math psychiatrist. If you come in and that's not a very good joke apparently. You come in and you sit down and you get comfortable and you just talk about things until you feel better.
So one thing I'm confused about is that, wait, actually no, I think I'm not confused anymore. I'm not confused anymore.
All right,
Yeah, so-
you're good. So does anybody want to talk about why this is right? Like, it's what Ella said. My equation here is plug in a time, find a velocity. Or plug in a velocity and find a time. So we plugged in a velocity, 0. Because when v of t, when this symbol has a value of 0, that's the time when the particle is at rest. So that means there's some value of t which will make this a true statement. You just have to find that value of t. Please.
Except for we don't. All we have to do is switch around the equation.
We got to find t. How do we find t?
You isolate it. Negative 2t is equal to negative b subtract.
Keep going.
And then you divide it all by negative 2 on both sides, because it has to be equal. And then you get t is equal to negative b subtract A. And that is answer B. I'm sorry, I get excited. That's why I always raise my hand.
You're good. You factor out the -1, you know, like this.
Yeah, I did a lot of stuff in my head. You just did just.
Questions?
Wait, so one thing I'm wondering is that, like, how do you know that you can factor that out if, like, just the bottom is a, bottom be considered a term also because it's not multiplying by anything?
The bottom could be thought of as being a factor or a term, because you can always throw in the fact that it's multiplied by a -1 or a +1.
Yep.
Basically, factoring is just writing something in a different way. So do you agree that this is exactly the same thing as this?
Yep.
So that's legal. Usually when people do incorrect factoring, they're not the same. But, yeah, so usually always when people do incorrect factoring. Is everybody good there? Okay, I want to do one more thing to hopefully really make this stick in your head well. So come here. Because again, I don't think this problem was hard because, I don't know, it's just, you just got to find the things that you don't really realize you're misunderstanding. We have to fix them. So somebody, again, tell me the slogan for that equation.
I can do it. Okay, so put in a velocity and get a time from the time and get a velocity.
Perfect. So we now have a time. You have the time of A plus B over 2. So I'm going to put that time into this equation. So that's going to be V of, this is going to be not as fun as I hope. A plus B over 2 is 2 times, oh, that's not bad. A plus B over, it should take my own advice, Ella. So I did what you did. I thought of the first step, got frightened, and then almost stopped. I should have just kept going. It's not bad at all. So, somebody say, other than Ella, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Please.
So you're finding the velocity at A plus B over 2.
Perfect. At that time, whatever that time happens to be. So that means the next line is going to be this. So what does this become?
It divides out to be A plus B minus B minus A.
And what's that all equal to? Is that what we expected?
Yes.
Yes, we have found the time when the velocity becomes 0.
I was confused when I was doing this. I was like, what? We already did it.
Yes, that was just a check.
I was just thinking like I've done it all wrong. It's not actually B. Like this is.
Really good conversation question. Pretty good? Cool. Stop the video. Okay, take a